Andy Johnson, Minnesota State University. We are looking at segregated instruction versus inclusive classroom instruction. Diversity is the norm in our classroom. Our students are not standardized products. PL 94-142, the most important thing is the last sentence. To the greatest extent possible, students with special needs are to be educated in a general education classroom. And the continuum of services from most restrictive to least, and you see there at the very bottom. Full-time in a gen ed classroom, education specialists consult with or work with a gen ed teacher to design instruction to meet the needs of students. Remember, students are not standardized products. They have different needs and ability. Defining our term, segregated instruction, that's instruction that occurs in a resource room apart from a gen ed classroom. They are pulled out, put in a segregated setting. Inclusive instruction is instruction that occurs within a general educational setting. This is students with learning disabilities, reading disabilities, intellectual disabilities, emotional behavioral disabilities, and all sorts of physical disabilities as well. Now, some I thinkisms related to segregated instruction. I think that makes sense. I thinkism, the smaller class sizes and additional adult resources in a SPED resource room will lead to these conditions. Teachers are able to individualize instruction. Teachers are able to address learning styles and special needs of each student, and this will lead to improved learning outcomes. I think that's true, but research has not supported that. It is found that teachers in SPED resource rooms very often use whole class instruction. One size fits all students. Give the same level of reading materials to students of varying ability levels and use basals as the primary source of reading instruction. There was very little individualized small group or differentiated instruction. It was found that in an inclusive classroom, students generally encounter greater academic expectations. We expect that all students will learn. There are richer learning environments. They're exposed to more effective teaching strategies, and there's more modeling by more able peers. Students with disabilities, they found more positive academic learning in inclusive classroom settings. And students with intellectual disabilities, they found that the more time spent in inclusive classrooms was correlated with improvement in academic growth. Inclusive classrooms led to stronger achievement of IEP goals, and many of the studies reviewed found outcomes, academic outcomes, similar in segregated and inclusive classrooms. So there was a whole variety of studies reviewed here. Allington found that in special education settings, students rarely get improved access to expert intensive reading instruction, reading experts. And special ed programs for learning disabilities, once they enter a special ed program, rarely do students experience accelerated reading. Variety of studies there, accelerated reading growth. So the question is, why do they exist? Social and emotional outcomes are better in inclusive classroom setting for all students. So why do special education services exist apart from a general education inclusive setting? That is the question. However, what is needed? Teachers must be willing to develop the skills to make inclusive teaching successful. It's hard work, but you have to be willing to develop those skills. We need faculty training, administrative leadership, and in-class assistance for these things to occur. But legally and ethically, students should not be segregated unless there's clear evidence of superiority for segregated classes and programs. Show me the data. Segregated classroom education, it's common to treat these students. Do we treat or do we educate them? For students with learning disabilities, they often slow it down. It's a splintered curriculum. What's encountered in the resource room is different than the gen ed classroom. They are disconnected to the social and emotional experience. This can make it more difficult to learn. Students with an emotional behavioral disorder, there's often more control and manipulation, fewer social models in that resource room. They're disconnected from peers and positive models, and this can reinforce problematic behavior. Inclusion is often more effective in addressing all dimensions of the learner, all social, emotional, and academic and cognitive growth. And here are some of the resources reviewed for this.